How's it going, everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and I have returned to reviewing the Boruto anime. Starting with today's episode, which is the first episode of the Mujina Bandits arc, episode 141. And I have to say, this episode is more of a setup episode for what's to come, but I actually really enjoyed this episode. And the tone in this episode was a lot darker than the last few episodes, and I enjoyed it for that. It just sets the tone for the rest of this arc. And from what I understand, the Mujina Bandits arc in the anime is going to be about 11 episodes, with the first 7 episodes taking place in Hozuki Castle, and then the remaining episodes being outside. So I'm very interested to see how this arc goes, and how the anime handles everything. So if you like this content, if you like these type of videos, be sure to like and subscribe as I cover the Boruto anime from time to time. Anyways, on to the review. Now the whole purpose of this mission is for Boruto and Mitsuki to protect a man named Kokiri, who is imprisoned in the Hozuki Castle. He is a former member of the Mujina Bandits, but he ended up getting himself into some trouble on a separate issue and ended up in the Hozuki Castle. Unfortunately for him, even though he wants to leak intel out to the Land of Fire about the Mujina Bandits, the number 2 member in the Mujina Bandits, his name is Tsukio, I think that's how you pronounce his name, it was just recently imprisoned in Hozuki Castle, and he wants to kill Kokiri, as it is pretty much a thing with the Mujina Bandits where you can't leak any information out about the group, otherwise you're pretty much dead meat. So Boruto and Mitsuki are being sent there to protect Kokiri, though it could be a trap. But the Land of Fire is willing to do this as they have no information on the leader of the Mujina Bandits. They don't know his identity, they don't know his name, they don't know anything about this guy. So they'll pretty much take any intel they can get. So Boruto and Mitsuki are being sent within the prison to protect Kokiri, whereas Sarada is being sent as an undercover journalist in order to basically gather intel on the prison as a whole. Now the Land of Fire wants to get a protection order from the Hidden Grass Village, the village that basically manages Hozuki Castle, to protect Kokiri. However, this could take up to a month, and Kokiri could be dead by that time. So that's primarily why Boruto and Mitsuki are being sent. And interesting enough, this is actually a tuning level mission. However, the tunings can't go, and Naruto essentially acknowledges that Boruto, Sarada, and Mitsuki are tuning level already. So they're being sent. So interesting. Maybe they should just be promoted to tuning already. Just saying. Now Boruto and Mitsuki, while they're in the prison, and then especially in their cell, they meet their cellmates. And the most notable one here right now is Ari. He's the red-haired fro cellmate. And Boruto and Mitsuki end up actually asking him a couple of questions, in which he seems to know a little bit about the Mujina Bandits, or at least the ones that are in the prison. We know that he tells them that Tsukio is essentially in solitary confinement right now, whereas Kokiri, he's in the medical ward because he essentially ended up in there somehow. So Boruto has to come up with a plan to go to the medical ward, which actually sounds a lot nicer as basically an oasis in this prison. So when they go outside, he basically explains to the two boys that there's actually these Chinese these Chinese fruit plants, which interestingly they call them Chinese, which I don't think China exists in the Naruto universe. But anyways, these plants, there's red ones that are pretty much harmless, but there are yellow ones that are poisonous. So Boruto decides to eat one of them, and as a result he gets poisoned. The medical ward is called over, and he's taken to the medical ward as a result of being poisoned after eating this fruit, which he got thanks to Mitsuki. Now as Boruto is recovering in the medical ward, he actually runs into Kokiri, which he proceeds to knock him out and strap him onto the bed, which Boruto is lucky he didn't get murdered here. But he's basically freaking out, thinking he was being sent to attack him, but Boruto tries to explain, hey, we're here to protect you. We actually want information on Mujina Bandits, which he's not willing to give anything until he's out of the prison. So, as basically Boruto is being taken back to his cell, somebody sneaks into Kokiri's room and I believe stabs him. It's weird because he gets injured, and there's a knife, there's a makeshift knife there, but there's no blood. And it would appear that Boruto's cellmate, the red-haired dude Ari, might be the culprit, as his silhouette, it shows that, yeah, it's probably him. So I'm wondering if that guy is possibly linked to the Mujina Bandits somehow. And that pretty much is where the episode comes to an end. So I think the best thing about this episode is the tone of this episode. It separates itself from the last few episodes, which are more lighthearted slice-of-life episodes, to this episode, which is much darker. It has a much more serious tone. It's actually a bit kind of scary in a way because they're in prison, so anything could happen. As, you know, anything could happen in a prison. So there's actually some, even though we know what's going to happen in the manga, there's some tension here. So it's very interesting how they're going about with the anime adaptation. I like the fact that they're doing this because in the manga, it kind of just started essentially midway through the arc. So I actually like this setup. I think the anime actually might end up doing a better job than the manga in this regard. But yeah, I think the tone is great in this episode, and I think the setup is fantastic. My only complaint in the episode is at the end, in which Kokiri gets essentially stabbed. Or did he? I'm not really sure because there's no blood on the knife. And there has been blood in Boruto, so it is a bit strange that there's no blood here. So I don't know if they're just toning this down. But they kind of went there with the prisoner going in there with a knife. And he essentially was being guided by Tsukio. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they did that. But I am very curious to see this Ari guy. Like, is he taking orders from the Mujina Bandits? Is he somehow connected? So I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see if we get some more information on him. So overall, a very solid start to the Mujina Bandits arc in the anime. And I'm honestly very curious to see what they do from here. Like, there's a lot of things that they can do with this arc, and I'm very interested to see what happens next. So overall, I give this episode an 8 out of 10. A solid start, and hopefully it gets better from here. So guys out there, what did you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Post your thoughts in the comment section down below, and be sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you all later.